All right, so a bit of a slip up there with the Go TV. Just a minor one, you know. Only missed. I'm pretty sure he did get the ace, by the way. So, only missed a really epic conclusion to a pistol round. But we're back now. And FaZe has had no problem cleaning up the 2 rounds, which are probably rather uninteresting, to be honest. You guys didn't miss much. Now we're getting back into the action. FaZe, well, they're keeping the aggression going. Nico, along with his teammates, swing out wide into the B halls, and they're going to get themselves the early advantage by knocking out Freiburg.
Yeah, so I can confirm that Alu did get the ace. He's currently on 9-0, by the way, which after 3 rounds is pretty ridiculous. The 2 rounds that we missed, FaZe won with only losing 1 player in each. So, yeah, it seems like it was super one-sided. No bombs were planted, nothing really to write home about. And now NiP in the 4th round have been dismantled early on. Pit is going to come back with 1 kill, but still FaZe in a commanding position.
Pit trying to hunt for more here on the A-bomb side, too, and I think the rest of his team is going to be directed over here. Swings the door shut, though, on the Molotov, and he does have to back up. I think he's just going to regroup with the main force out through mid and A main, as they do try to still move in for some semblance of control, as they are still down 3v4. Mid is actually going to be quite bothersome, though, when you look at the fact that they still have Keo sitting in a sandbag spot, and I think they've realized what's going on, so they're going to call for early rotates on the account of Alu to shift into Z, but quick perspective of Alu just getting wrecked as he tries to peek his way out. Keo there for the trade, but he's going to get overwhelmed here. Almost certain that he's going to go down, but Nico, again, also there for the trade against that. So FaZe doing a phenomenal job of keeping their man advantage in their own favor here. And now, well, Pit's going to go for a last-ditch attempt to swing in through the vents, but Kerrigan's there to handle that quite easily, and FaZe go up 4-0.
Yeah, Pit had a bit of time to play with there, but I think he assumed that with Nico being on highway, the second player might be around connector, and he could quickly wrap himself onto the side and get a plant. Unfortunately, though, it wasn't the case for NiP, and they do fall back into a half-buy of Tech-9s, P250s, plenty of nades and armor. But FaZe, they are looking in fine form right now. And Alu, of course, with the AWP. He is going to be looking outside of B, no one's home. The bulk of NiP are actually just outside of A, setting up for the smokes. And I'm sure the push is going to be coming in afterwards. They're going to be boosting as well through mid to try and get a 2-pronged hit onto this one. Forrest out of Squeaky. Here comes the flash into the push onto A.
And it's going to be a fast play here, too. In fact, it's so fast. FaZe is actually going to back up and just kind of let them into the site to avoid getting overwhelmed here on the flush, since the smoke setup is pretty good. Nico boosted up on top of the shed. They're able to chuck onto some damage, but they're certainly not going to be able to stop the plan. It's not even that big of a deal. They let them escape with it. It's a much bigger deal if they still clean this up and are able to build their economy consistently over these next few rounds, and that's what they're aiming to do here by doing this. However, the swing up from Freiburg is nice, as he's not only going to net the kill on Nico, but he grabs Rain, too. Now it's down to 3. We're just now getting the rotate over here, and oh, they get caught at Truck! There's 2 more kills for Forrest, and then Exist comes in with the last one. Somehow, NiP upsets in that round, and now they're on the board.
Well, that just happened. That's always the danger in allowing terrorists to get onto the site with pistols. It can backfire horribly. They seem to have set up for a retake, but, I mean, everything went wrong after that moment. So NiP, in a round that really didn't expect them to get much more than a bomb plant out of, they actually end up winning. And now FaZe with a double AWP in play, they've gone through all of their funds. If they lose this, they are flat out broke onto an eco, and NiP have a gateway back into this one.
The rest of NiP, again, split into just your usual default here again, so nothing crazy happening at the beginning of the round. Keo's just going to take an aggressive position this time in the one-and-done corner out to the left from the mid-garage here, as NiP still tries to gauge how exactly they want to play their aggression. Alu also, I don't think, no, he's not boosted up into the vents, so he's not going to be able to play it from that position, just sitting down below, waiting to see if he's going to get any action from the B halls, and then can promptly fall back further into the site if needed. But there's a lot of shuffling going on for FaZe, a lot of change-ups to the position. Like, again, Rain falling back here, helping out in mid now. Keo's still stuck in that corner, but this has left the A site open, and that isn't really something that you'd seem to want to let them do after what happened in the previous round with just P250s and Tech-9s for the most part. Now they have full guns, and again, they seem to be kind of letting them in. Rain with a good lineup, though, does catch Pit through the smoke, so they're going to get the early advantage, but the trade rolls in from Freiburg. He gets boosted up to Shroud. More kills rolling out for NiP. Ray picks up a second one, and they almost basically guaranteed to have a third there, as they do take down Rain. It's 2 left up and running for FaZe, and it's not looking good for a retake.
Especially when you consider that Rain got the first kill in this confrontation, so NiP were actually a player behind, and then it all went the way of the Ninjas. It's pretty unbelievable. Alu is setting up for some exit frags, but there's no real hope of him getting onto the site and clutching this round alongside Kiyoshima. He was going to be buddy systeming with his teammate to make sure they can get their hands on this second AWP, which Keo is so close. It's tantalizingly close. He goes out into the open. I don't think he can reach it unless he goes onto the other side of the car. And I realize it's not really possible.
I think it's stuck. You can
And they
probably
also
try to
wait
get
for
it
this
in a
bomb to
second.
explode.
The bomb might move it, yeah. No, just jiggled it a little bit. It's stuck down there. I don't think he can get it.
Trolled!
So he's not going to be able to pick it up. So that's unfortunate. And they'll just have to work with one up for right now.
Did a nice pick as well, having 2 ups in a round like this. But he got CSGO'd pretty hard. UMP does get drops and a couple of pistols, so not a terrible buy-up, but of course not as much as FaZe would like in this scenario. Flashes and nades just outside of A main. Bomb dropped out in garage declaration of attempt. We're not going to see any early shenanigans in this round. It's going to be more of a slower paced round. Probably another set play onto A again.
Yeah, that seems to have been the commonplace. It's working out well for them. And oh, Forrest! Instant correction there onto Alu. Trying to catch him there on the boost up position. So knocking him out really quickly. And again, it's NiP that are actually going to find themselves with the advantage here. Get right chiming in for another one here back in the B halls. And that's actually an open site, so they may want to hold up here on trying to execute. You can see the bomb rotating over. If Get Right gets the knee to push back into that B bomb site, it is wide open for the taking right now as FaZe went all in on their defense on A after obviously underestimating it in the past 2 rounds.
NiP keeping versatile now, going over to the B side. Just Nico. Of course, he's very good with the AWP alongside Alu. There's no hope for him, really. Just want to hold on to it as long as possible. So it will be another round to NiP, and FaZe looking to save all 3 weapons. Decent comeback by NiP, though, and this is all off the back of them winning in an eco round. So definitely give them props. It was looking like it could be incredibly one-sided at one point. But they have started to bring their way back into this one.
Yeah, very quick adjustment after FaZe get themselves off to a hot start there, carrying it into the first gun round. Now it's seemingly NiP that control the cards here. And again, even with these 3 saved guns, keep in mind how limited FaZe still are economically speaking. They've just started their build-up, so it's not like they're going to have a huge economic boon coming in for those that did fully die out here. They'll have those guns, but beyond that, I highly doubt we're going to see anything else beyond half buys on Aloe and Kerrigan. There may be room for someone to drop a gun or something like that, but it's still kind of going to be scrapped together, and they eventually do need to kind of center themselves onto another full buy here.
I'm curious to see what Kerrigan ends up getting here. Someone could drop him a UMP. Well, it seems he's just going to have a CZ instead so they can get more nades. That's pretty interesting. Alu won't be getting the AWP. I assume this is because Nico has a good spawn for mid. But typically, you'd imagine that Alu will be the primary AWPer for FaZe. Now, something else that a lot of people were questioning, whether Nico would be the main AWPer now if Alu would. I mean, they have one hell of a powerful duo AWP partnership here, but yeah, who would be the primary out of the 2 of them?
That's a question. It's probably to be answered throughout watching more of this event so far, to be honest. They could work it in more of a loose system too, and basically center it, basically try to like pick the primary op over the next couple of weeks based on how they end up playing with him. So that does go ahead.
My instinct would be that Alu's the primary because like Nico obviously dropped it when Chris J wanted it to the primary and then when Oscar did in Mouse Sports. But yeah, I mean it's going to be an interesting one to see. They definitely could base it more off spawn, spawn basing.
Yeah. So for right now, though, Nico's not going to be catching a whole lot in mid. That does not mean that he's not going to see any action throughout the course of this round, as, again, the guys from NiP still holding back. And it's working, too. The passive style on the opener, just followed up by these basically all-in plays over towards the bomb sites. It's not terrible. It's the fact that it's working out brilliantly for them, because most of the time they're going to get someone from FaZe getting too aggressive to push back out. Look, here's another one. It's Alu swung wide into the B halls, and they're able to easily punish him. So that's another open B bomb site. FaZe is trying to rapidly adjust for this one, but I still think they're going to be a little bit late to actually really do much about this. Nico is here. He's trying to swing back into it, but he misses the shot. Now he's going to get mollied out from heaven. Freiburg even chiming in for another kill there, too, onto Keo, as he was peeked out in the tree room.
And another save. NiP in fine form to take a 4th round in a row after FaZe put up 4. Nico misses out on that opportunity. Could cost him his life. Get Right's also going to be lurking through highway. They have such good economy right now that they can afford to throw some weapons away. But Nico with another 2. He is so set on saving the AWP. Finally, Get Right does get him from the side. And Rain trying to hold on for dear life to this M4. It was pretty costly, though, for NiP. They lost 3 players in that confrontation. seems like Rain could be able to hold on to this M4 in the end.
Yeah, I don't think anyone actually suspects he's inside of CT right now. Get Right's moving in to investigate, but he's not going to get there in time now, as he's wasted all this time kind of looking around the entryway. So he'll save the M4, and this is great too, since they're going for the buy. This is actually going to be a bit of a value pickup, since it does save him a lot more in the long run. Potentially enables for things like, you know, say they drop this round, he can donate 5/7s for a half buy for them to go for in the next round after this one. That does help them out in the long run of things here, and it obviously gives him a nice little build up in the event they do start winning out from this point forward. As the looser style from FaZe, unfortunately, just not playing it out too well right now. NiP again, sitting back, waiting for over-aggression to push, and I mean, FaZe is going to oblige that. You can see Nico wanted to peek inside the doorway. Thankfully, the flash is whiffed a little bit, so he doesn't end up calling it off. But still, if they continue to play aggressively and NiP continue to get, you know, early 1 or 2 man advantages off of that one, then they can just continue to go for these direct site plays, as they're always going to have themselves an easier time of getting into the site with those 1 or 2 kills going in their direction at the beginning of the round.
Absolutely. If they get the opening picks, then they have such a good chance of just forcing their way through onto the sites and getting those rounds that we've already seen. It's typically been A that's yielded the most for them thus far. I haven't really seen them play B too many times. That could certainly change in the future. Flashes and mollies being exchanged out in mid, trying to take some mid control, give them some more avenues of aggression. 2 players will find their way on the B side, but mid is open. So now NiP can start to put pressure on the likes of Vent, put pressure on the likes of Connector as well. And speaking of Vent, Freiburg comes through, probably should have done better, but he will end up going down to the hands of Kerrigan.
More from NiP trying to rotate back in, but the damage being done from Alu and Kerrigan here is massive. Finally, it's FaZe that get themselves the opening edge. Alu sits waiting over there, and we can see Forrest and Get Right trying to manage that. Forrest is on Alu duty right now, and it is going to work out, but the problem is you still have Kerrigan up on the site, and now it's just Forrest alone in a 1v3. He'll try to push himself forward up to the site, but hello, here comes Nico from heaven to close things down before they can even challenge Kerrigan further back there.
Yeah, you can see that Forrest was trying to bait out the sound there so that Kerrigan would peek him, but yeah, it's 3-on-1. He's living on borrowed time. Will get found out from the backside. So FaZe finally put a stop to the 4-round rots. NiP back in with an AK buy, and they could afford in the next round as well, considering a bunch of their players are on 2 to 3k. In actual fact, this is nearly on 4k right now, so there is going to be continued pressure applied. Kiyoshima again, very early on the round, getting dropped to dangerously low health. Just 39 remaining for him.
We have Nico sitting back over here too, along with a couple of the members of FaZe, just getting ready for the eventual A hit that we have seen become common, but it's Get Right again. This is like 3 or 4 rounds, you know, almost in sequence here, where he's been able to get that opening kill in the B halls and make it much easier for his team if they want to go for a B hit to deploy into it. The problem is they have to avoid kind of falling into a pattern and becoming too obvious here. So I don't think they're going to follow through with the B play, as they have in some of the past rounds. They're still more than likely going to end up executing out onto A.
Nico is going to answer back, though. Kiyoshima, meanwhile, is up on boost. They haven't used this position just now, or just yet, I should say, from FaZe. Don't need the NiP members even check this. The flashes could very well deter them from checking up onto the boost. Kiyoshima's playing it very passively. There's the tap with the A1S. And the added beauty of that position is that with the A1S, you're not entirely sure where these scurrier bullets came from. Get Right now through. That grenade could do a bit of damage. In fact, it just takes 3 off Rain. Just CS nade things. And Rain will return fire and pick the kill up. It was looking like it could do a chunk to Rain there, but nope.
Yeah. So after that one, FaZe again are looking to take back some of the control that they lost a few of these rounds ago, and are slowly breaking down the NiP bank. That's the other thing to account for too, is that they did build up quite a large amount to work off of, and now it's finally being whittled down here, as we can see them going under, you know, sub 1k, which is finally getting to the breaking point here. FaZe themselves, this is the other problem here too, is that these are still rather close rounds, so FaZe is never really being given a chance to build it up. It's still at a point where NiP, if they are able to swing even one victory without allowing for FaZe to save, then they can just immediately crush the CT economy and put them back onto ecos, which should allow NiP to try and tie things back up. But for right now, it's still very unstable for both teams, and no one really has a big advantage in this map currently.
Absolutely not. This could be a 2-for-1. FaZe in a very similar position to what we saw Astralis under earlier, where they just couldn't build really anything up. Ali's on 3.2k, then that's pretty solid for him, especially being an AWPer. But the rest of his team averaging probably between $200 and $300 each, so pretty Pretty rough times right now. Exist is going to be able to get through mid, though. Hopping across to the ledge. Nearly already in highway. 55 seconds left. Pop flash through for Carrigan. Going to try and scout out B. Nothing's home just yet. Doesn't really give him a fair representation of any information. And Kishima's up on the boost again. Playing maybe the double bluff. Saying, you don't expect me to be here twice in a row, but surprise, I am. And a spray from him claiming 2 kills. NiP with 2 of his own. Pit does come back with a frag, but his position's been compromised and his days are numbered.
Yeah, Pit just has no way to safely get out from this doorway, unfortunately. So if he's going to go for it, you know, make an attempt at this. But if not, he's going to swing back and look to save now, because otherwise he's going to be dead right about now. So he'll just burn himself alive there at the hands of Kerrigan's Molly. FaZe get up to 7 now, and like I said before, this is bringing NiP to the breaking point. Most don't even have enough to buy up armor if they were to half buy right here, so more than likely we're just going to see the upgraded pistols, and that's it, unless they want to go all in.
Yeah, the Eagles makes a lot more sense across the board. And equalize that economy a little bit. They've got 3 rounds of round loss bonus coming in, so they will be able to buy in the next round, especially if they can get a bomb plant down. It'd be a nice juicy bonus. But FaZe, who were looking like maybe they would let this lead slip away, have now regained all that momentum that we saw them get earlier on. Forest down very early in the round, and Pit in squeaky once again.
Yeah, we're looking for a path into the A-bomb site again. This was actually, keep in mind, this was a very crucial round where FaZe actually lost because they were playing so passively on A and they were kind of going to let them in. The good news is this time, NiP don't have a lick of utility to try and use to actually get onto that site safely. So players backed by car and highway have a much easier time of dispatching everyone from NiP. After we see Keo going down, that's pretty much it, and it's a clean sweep from FaZe from that point forward.
So we've had the pendulum going back and forth 8-4, but 4 round sprees between the 2 teams. 4 for FaZe, 4 for NiP, and 4 for FaZe again. Can we continue the sequence? Are NiP going to start to bring this back in their favour? Of course, they can't take the next 4 and take it to 8-8 in this half, but they could very well take us 8-7 if they can start to pull it back. They have enough funds to do so here, Blue. They've got enough nades.
Yeah, what's important to note, though, on these past 4 rounds specifically is that, you know, NiP has been denied plants for 4 rounds straight, too, so it has actually limited their money income to a certain degree, because before this, they were doing at least a very good job of trying to get up to the sites and whatnot, and it always came down to the wire with regards to the bomb getting planted, but as of the past couple, FaZe has been a great job of denying it, and now they're going to play close quarters again. NiP gets that 1 kill, but does a double take there. Rain actually chimes in for 2, now 3, I believe, at the end of that one, and Keo chiming in for 1 more as well. It's a shutdown from them, and they beautifully fend off an all-in attempt from NiP out the right lane.
9-4. NiP back to the drawing board. We'll be able to force up AKs and the UMP, but maybe desperation mode has been engaged here. I want to try and finish the half at 9-6. Wouldn't be too terrible from T's perspective. I mean, Cash has been one of those maps that does ebb back and forth in terms of which side it favors. Probably still slightly CT-sided, but it's certainly not a potential 11-4 CT half normally. Pop flash into Checkered, gives them a bit more control. And Get Right goes in first and does land himself to frag. They do see the trajectory of the smoke from Alu's perspective. They know a second player's on the site, but Alu is incredibly low and does get put down, but he takes 2 players with him. Kiyoshima from the backside through vents is going to make short work of Exist and pulls out the USP to connect on Get Right. That is obscene by FaZe.
FaZe again holding off the inevitable from NiP after it seemed like NiP with the first kill were actually going to be able to get really good control of things into that site, but Alu shows up big. Keo does some good stuff there on the site too, and now FaZe are just going to go all out here for this last round of the half. The auto investment coming in once more from Rain. We'll see what kind of power he can do with this. We saw Fnatic utilizing it a little bit earlier, and it seems like Rain is going to want to try to pick it up and do some dapes here too. But for the guys on NiP, back to the thing that was working well for them, which was A executes. Albeit, they did tend to have 1 or 2 man advantages when they were going for these before and when they were actually working. So by going directly for this, they are going to kind of circumvent this. But looking at the actual split of players, all they have to defend this is Alu. And oh no, Alu! Oh! He swings back over and gets a no-scope before going down. But he did bite off way more than he could chew by getting aggressive there inside of Squeaky. Still, the fact that he can recover that for 1 kill is incredible in itself. This goes now down to a 2v2 after Rain is sneaking in these kills left and right. He's been showing up with a big performance here. He's got Get Right down to 10 HP. The Molly, it's going to burn him out to the left. There is a smoke in the way, but it doesn't matter. Rain's still able to spot him regardless. And now it's down to Pit. 1v2 from the work off of site control, and he's going to back up towards quad to play it into this corner. and duel it out. Hopefully he can isolate this if he gets Kerrigan peeking first. But the FaZe guys have been smart. They haven't been ones to play it separately here, as Rain does take point. Already up to a 3K himself, and Kerrigan's going to immediately dispatch a pit, which means FaZe are going up 11-4 to end the half.
That's a fantastic half scoreline as well, considering that NiP at one point were 4-4, and then 7 rounds and a quick flurry. Almost in the blink of an eye, it seems to go past. And now NiP, with all the pressure on their shoulders, not so sure they can bring this one back, Blue. But the first hurdle they need to navigate over is this second pistol round. They have to win this, or FaZe are in a huge position.
It's certainly FaZe's game to throw away now if NiP were able to come back from this one. At the same time, we had NiP in a similar position before. They were the ones in the lead, unfortunately, though, against Astralis previously. And we saw Astralis the ones to make the comeback. So now we just see if NiP can remain consistent on CT sides and try to pick up a little bit more momentum here to try to round this back. It's certainly not impossible. We've already seen it done once today already, just a couple of hours ago. But with the way that FaZe is playing right now, it's certainly going to prove tough. They're bringing some serious fragging power to the table. It's going to be really tough to deal with.
We were asking before if NiKo joining the team would click. It hasn't necessarily been just him, though. You've got Alu on 16, Kishima's on 14, Rain's on 14, NiKo's on 12. Everybody is pulling a solid job, and the in-game leader of Kerrigan at the bottom there, as you'd expect. Exquisite CS has found us, but so has Get Right with 2 kills onto Rain and Kiyashima. Just when we spoke about the importance of this round, it seems that NiP are coming out all guns blazing. Get Right is looking for a third. Frybrook does take it away from him, but you won't care too much. NiKo is the last remaining player. He's a great pistol player, but too many angles to watch, and NiP have secured the second pistol.
Get Right finding those kills like a savant, having no issues at all, just lining it up and casually tapping into Squeaky there. And they walk right into his spray pattern, or just walks right into his line of fire, more appropriately put there. So he's has no problem at all picking up those 2 kills. And FaZe, unfortunately, are going to have to give a little bit of leeway to NiP at the start of this one. But they don't get the plant, so they do go for the usual force directly in for the second round here. Deagles and Tech-9s across the board with armor supporting them.
Again, similar to what Optic went for earlier, quite a heavy FAMAS investment. They do have UMP and Forest Sands and an M4 for Get Right. But still a lot of FAMASs. And Deagle's coming up against them with Tech-9s. Rain was on the boost, has to turn Tailman away as he's on 9. Close but no cigar by NiP. Only a molly and 3 flashes left, though, with a lot of time to play with. That could start to creep in and be a determining factor later on, especially as Kerrigan has opened up this round in favour of FaZe with the 1 deek. Exist will fall by the wayside.
Keep in mind the map control issue here, but actually, look at NiKo right now. He's just let to walk right out onto A. There's no resistance here at all. It's just Pit around the corner. He's got his back turned. So they get free control of A. There's no one covering A main or Squeaky. All their defenses were focused on mid. So they got the completely wrong read into the situation. And now they have no sight control. Rain picking up an additional kill, as will Keo. Kerrigan's already got the location of the last man standing. So it looks like FaZe are going to upset and retake control of the match.
Oh, man. Watching from Pit's perspective, that looks really poor. I think what happened is that Get Right was on the car looking at A main, and they didn't realize that NiKo could sneak out through Squeaky. Which is absolutely mad, considering, well, you know, you better believe that NiP knows Squeaky exists. These guys are top caliber players. I just don't, for the life of me, understand that positioning. Pitt had no idea what was coming up behind him. And that, straight up, that confrontation lost in the round.
It's going to give them free site control and essentially a free round after everything is said and done there. Don't get me wrong, some good pickups there do kind of yield the way for them on that A-bomb site, but unfortunately NiP gets the complete wrong read into the situation, and it costs them dearly, as now they're going to have to be the ones that force into this round, and they don't really have a choice. They can't afford to eco when they're this far behind, so they do buy into it as heavily as they can. Even with that, though, a PT-50 for Pit, 5 7s for others. Get Right will pick up a CZ, and Freiberg's going to have the only rifle as he's saved.
Yeah, just the one from us at a crucial time of this map. NiP are very much on the brink of taking a 0-3 standing in the group. They will join Optic at the very bottom of the league in Group A, whereas this will put FaZe 3-0, and from there you're expecting them to qualify. So an important game for both teams for very different reasons. And you couldn't really get too much more of a discrepancy in terms of weapons either here around 18. Pistols and the FAMAS facing off against a full buy. Looks as though Forest just underneath the boost. And more of a stack on A this time.
Yeah, they're kind of going to do that almost as a reactionary move based on what happened in the previous round here. So much more heavily focused on A for the defenses. And it's a good thing, too, is it does seem that FaZe are actually going to follow through with this execute again and try to work towards it. Obviously, it's not just Nico waltzing his way out, but it is still going to be FaZe pushing towards this same site. And NiP sit ready to try and defend it, although, again, the fight goes in, and it's looking good for FaZe. Already 2 kills in their direction. No responses at all from NiP. Only Get Right remains on the site. He gets a good angle against Alu, but the spray is not where he needs it to be, and he completely whiffs the clip. Only gets Alu down to about 28 at the end of the day. Now it's Freiburg, but all of a sudden he gets 2 kills on the repeat, though. It's going to be Nico that shuts things down. And FaZe continue to propel forward here as now NiP, well, they really don't have a choice. They kind of have to save here unless they just want to press their luck with forces.
Yeah, it makes more sense to just tap out of this round and get a full buy into the next one when FaZe have 14 rounds. But this is pretty much the most one-sided game we've seen all day here, Blue. Most of them have been fairly close.
Yeah, relatively speaking anyway. The Optic one, unfortunately, is a little bit anticlimactic based on the performance we saw on Train earlier in the day, but they still put up a good fight against Fnatic, but seems like NiP just don't have a response. In fact, I think a player there on the B bomb set actually got shot down as they were boosting him up, so Freiburg picking up 1 kill and a second on, so he's having a bit of a response with this on the Deagle, but the problem is they know that both of these players are in the B bomb set and they've got them penned, so they're just going to waltz over to A and again find the free plant, and well, that won't even be needed, as Alu's just going to run in there with the Mac 10 and finish things off.
Yeah, so here comes the buy, the reason for the previous save. And this is it. This is go big or go home. Sink or swim for NiP. They lose this again, they're probably out of the event. Still have to play the games, but it's very unlikely they qualify from this stage if they went 0-3.
And I think if I recall correctly, actually, FaZe back in Oakland when we played this same system for the group stages, FaZe went 5-0 in their groups, and if they continue past a team like NiP, they're on track to try and do that again here. They still have a few tough challenges ahead of them. One of them, if I recall correctly, is still like Astralis and potentially Fnatic are their 2 remaining matches. They're nowhere near in the clear yet to try and do that for a second IEM event in a row, but it's looking good. And they're showing up with a lot of power here that maybe some people didn't even expect.
Yeah, a lot of the other top-tier teams are going to be taking notice of FaZe now with Nico, especially as these seem to have fit in without too many issues. 14-5 we stand with Get Right going down first. Alu has been tagged, but he has the AWP. Oh, he's going for the wall bang. Wasn't too far off. Existence dropped down to 56. But Nico has been found wanting. A minute left, 3-on-3, but the HP certainly in favor of the Swedes.
FaZe will get flung over to the other site, though, but they actually are going to hold it as they kind of approach towards the sunroom here. Freiburg is the only one defending it right now, but again, all the pressure was removed from the A-bomb, so they didn't keep anyone else inside of it. So, as a reactionary move, they tried to put Exist in a position to where he can now get himself up towards heaven. Freiburg actually has a beautiful lineup here beyond the Molotov, so they think it's going to be clear, but again, it's a fake. They're redeploying into A right now, and it's going to be Pit back inside of Squeaky that'll throw them off. He's picked up one of the final 2 kills. All that's left alive now is Alu, and Alu thinks it's NBK. He doesn't even think it's in Squeaky right now, so a bit of a misread there. It's going to cost him a chance to, at the very least, try to guarantee the bomb plant, and NiP sneak through with at least one more here.
Wait, did one of us say Fnatic?
What's up?
Say that? Did I say Fnatic instead of NiP? I have no idea. It's been a long day. My brain's starting to melt now.
It might have been in context to your discussion about who faced the list to play.
Ah, okay. Well, either way, 14-6. NiP have picked up the first of what needs to be many rounds here. 2 AWPs in play. It's going to be Pit that's actually running with it as opposed to Forest, who is using it on overpass. He does have it on quad side of A. Looking into main. Oh, that damage through the smoke though. Kiyoshima's been knocked to 6. So close on that kill. But very cheeky indeed how you've landed it.
So Freiburg again just sitting back and patiently waiting for a potential hit to work its way, or even just anyone to peek out towards Checkers right now. That's been his go-to spot to deploy towards. And well, Rain has control of Checkers. but I don't think they're going to be wanting to deploy just yet. Again, they still have to move out, and okay, Kerrigan just walks in, gets a back turn as the timing on that works out beautifully. I think it was turned to try and get away from a flashbang there. So Kerrigan sneaks in that kill. Exists a good trade, mind you, but then Rain finds the very important kill onto Freiburg here, which gives them access to the B bomb site. So they're going to be able to walk right in, and NiP can chill in mid to try and bite off rotators that would try to move in through the vents there to cut them off.
Bomb planted for FaZe. Player advantage. This is where NiP would love to have incendiaries or HEs just tossed on the site, try and cordon off some of these areas. You don't have any of those though, just flashes. Kiyashima, who was certainly the lowest of the HPs, is going to die first. Alu has the drop on Pit and does convert. And the chances of NiP getting this clutch now are falling. And they're going in free fall in actual fact. GetRight's being wrecked up through the wall and gets finished off by NiP. FaZe now have 9 map points, take a 3-0 in the group.
And they're broke.
Yeah, just to add salt in the wounds.
So it's going to be obviously forced up from them, but it's, you know, Deagles, CZs, 5-7s. I don't even think anyone can even justify a UMP purchase right now, as they would have to go pretty light with it. So not enough cash in the bank to be able to purchase that. It's all pistols, and NiP are looking rough to say the least, and they may be looking at a very early exit here at IEM. No arena for you if things continue the way it is, as they're going to be down 0-3. But this will now be 2 teams of the 0-3 record. And potentially, this could mean, if that continues for some of our other squads here, if they do tend to drop it back off, we could end up in a bit of a tiebreaker situation. But more than likely, that could lead to be 2 of our 3 teams that end up getting knocked out, starting off with a record that poor. Very, very little room for recovery for both NiP and Optic later on in this tournament, unfortunately.
Especially considering that both Optic and NiP very nearly beat Astralis. They were incredibly close to dethroning the major champions. Freiburg and Pitt, both around half health. Freiburg on headshot with his Eagle. Bomb still in garage, still over 50 seconds in which FaZe have to make a decision and execute on that decision. And all healthy members with nades. Certainly doesn't look good for NiP, and it's just got a whole lot worse. Exist, who was top fragging, by the way, should be mentioned earlier on when we were casting against Astralis, is dead and buried. Carrigan will go into Forest, and now Freiburg, who's been sat on heaven for the last, well, headshot I should say, for the last 30 seconds, won't get anything for his troubles. Pit and GetRight to save NiP.
And Pitt's just going to roll right into the bomb site. He's spotted out, and both Pit and GetRight basically get knocked out at the exact same time. It's FaZe that sweep through NiP like it's no problem at all. 16-6 is the final scoreline, and due to mainly, again, like Alu and Nico, along with Rain, too, we see them pushing forward and taking quick control of this one, and their record is going to continue to remain flawless. They're up 3-0, and unfortunately for NiP, well, they're down 0-3, potentially already being eliminated unless, like we said before, some of the other teams really royally screw up, as they already have good records at this point. And overall, I think our next match here now